G'day, mate. In Old School Runescape, there are a few worlds much riskier than the rest, known as the high-risk worlds. After confirming the warning message and entering these worlds, upon stepping into any dangerous PvP zone, all players will be given a permanent high-risk skull unless already skulled with the regular PvP skull. The two skulls are practically the same, both preventing the player from keeping any of their items upon death, but the regular skull is still needed for better Revenant loot because spaghetti code I guess, but that does make me think that this man might be a bit lost. He's wearing what would normally be a one item rag setup, but what makes these worlds truly the most risky is it will not only always be skulled, but we also can't use the protect item prayer whatsoever. So not only is my man missing out on the better loot table, he's also risking his webweaver bow no matter what. I'm well aware that this looks like some paid actor shit, but I swear this isn't the first time I've had something like this happen. It's always worth checking these worlds if you don't mind the risk. We got a big volley spec and bagged him up. In PvP, comprehension is key, and I'm all about sharing valuable advice, but unfortunately for this man, he had to learn the hard way. Thanks for the money. Now, for today's video, I wanted to know what would it be like PVMing on the high-risk worlds. But rather than being a clueless PVMer, we'll be a slightly less clueless PVMer that intends to put up a bit more of a fight. We'll be on the low-level Anti-PKing account, of course. We're currently sitting at 87 combat with 50 attack and 42 defense, and not too far off max for the rest. We'll be getting 60 attack soon, but I was keen to give the high-risk worlds a go while we can still rock a cheap setup. The Ballista and G-Maul will be our weapons of choice, still a bit over 3 mil risk, but we will be gearing up into a much better setup later into the video. When starting out, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I imagined that there would be less competition, but a lot tougher competition, since you would think that anyone willing to risk everything would be a bit more confident in their abilities, but some of the shit I saw, I don't think anyone could have predicted. You'll see what I mean. First couple of trips down with no competition, we went for a roam to a few different spots to see what the activity was like. We had our first bit of action up at quads as a level 112 rolled up on us. They start bonking us with their chainmail, so of course we start shooting back. We catch a freeze and keep on chipping away. We'll be using Ice Barrage to start off as we feel things out. Not exactly the best for Anti-PKing, but much easier to make escapes for those just wanting to PVM in peace. We come in off a barrage and get a big ballista into a 0 from the G-Maul. Would have had them there if I didn't burger the double spec. We follow up with the 32, but they got a need off in between. Looks like they don't have any other combat styles, so we start to play a bit dumb. We let them get a few hits in as they become unfrozen, but we're really just luring them deeper into the caves. We're at about level 35 wilderness, and there's no teleporting out above level 30. We keep on working them down, and before they know it, they're in a bit of danger. We turn up the pressure as they start to make their getaway. They're in a tanky setup, but they've got no magic defense, and the RNG comes through for us as we catch every refreeze. They almost make it out, but we get a nice bit of damage in at the end and end up taking them out. 8 mil loot to start off with, that ain't bad. Over at the Hellhounds, we had our first Rev boss spawn and had it all to ourselves. It took 4 minutes to take it down, but we get ourselves 2 rolls of the Revenant drop table with the guaranteed drop of either an emblem or a totem, plus this fancy blue skull that gives us an extra 15% damage and accuracy on the revs when wearing an Amulet of Avarice. Not long later, we had our second Rev boss spawn, but this time we had a level 65 come in swinging. Not sure what their plan was, but we're not going to let them get away with that. We chase them down, but after a single barrage they end up flopping onto the floor. I don't know what these PVMers are thinking, but I'll take the free 800k. I went back to finish off the boss, and because of the loot key we got an even fancier skull. First time I've ever seen that, pretty cool. Back to it, we've leveled up to 97 ranged. Next up, we had a level 66 try their luck. A bit of a bold decision, let's see what they've got. Oh, well, that was easy. 2 keys for about 1.5 mil, thanks mate. Back to farming, we got a 500k emblem from the demons, a singular gold coin drop, and another 1.4 mil for the trip. I was watching a couple of mains scrap it out before a level 100 come flying in, let's see how it goes. No luck with our spec, but they're still sitting on low HP. We get a half decent belly, and as they bolt us back, they end up taking themselves out on our recoil. 400k loot, GG's. I don't think they were too happy about their performance. They come straight back for seconds. Let's see how they go this time. Not a lot of danger, they're still just ragbolting us. We got a nice chance in with the G-Maul, but they're a bit too tanky. We follow up with the barrage and go back in for the belly, and it comes through with the big 44 for the KO. Another 400k, and that was the last we saw of that guy. Here we got hit by a level 84 Mystics Warrior. We start shooting back, and all of a sudden he's having second thoughts as he hits the Craig David and starts walking away. Now, when I say you couldn't predict some of these kills, I didn't necessarily mean that in a good way. In fact, quite the opposite, as I've had some of the stupidest kills I've ever had while out in this expedition. I don't even know what to say at this point. What the fuck? Next up, there was a bit of action about as we were taking down a Rev boss. We've got a level 100 Mystics man eyeing us off, and of course they can't resist attacking. This should be fun. No luck on the early spec, but as the other fellas ran through, they dragged the boss back onto us. Some insane gameplay from my man as he hits us with the Dragon Spear spec, pushing us out of the way of the boss's special attack. That is the funniest fumble I've seen in a while. I don't know how I'm beating the allegations on this video. We end up catching them with the belly and line them up for a maul, but the Maledictus maledicts him down. 700k loot, nothing special, but we take it. After that, we had a bit of a dry patch from the PKers. A level 53 logged in with the crossbow, but they're outside of our combat bracket. There were also a few higher levels running around. It seems like you'd have a bit more luck finding some high riskers at a higher level, but they'll also be a lot tougher to take down without risking something yourself. At least the Revenants were coming through for us, an 8mm effigy from the Orcs, and that's ticked off the collection log. Another boss down for a 1mm totem, and another totem from the Orcs. I'm surprised at how little action we've seen so far, especially from any respectable PKers. We've gone over 500 KC without any interruptions, but we've finally got some action from a level 80 pure. It's a bit hard to stay warmed up when we're not getting regular fights. I could have done better, but we still got a couple of fair chances in. They stuck around long enough for us to regenerate another spec, but just as we went in, they teleported out. Another hour went by without any action, so I was getting a bit bored. As I was sat there tank switching on the revs, a level 79 pure came strolling by. Thank fuck they turned around, otherwise I would have lost my mind. Let's see how it goes this time. A good prediction with our prayers as they go for their DDS. We eat up and settle for a nice blitz as we camp around the corner to buy ourselves some time, but they've brought some seeds and put them to good use. They're back onto us, but we're back in control. We wait patiently for our next freeze as they keep on recoiling themselves down. We eventually catch, and while they're sitting on low HP, we take our chance. A bit of a noodle from the belly, but we still went for the G-Maul, and it pays off with a cheeky 6mm from what I would call the first proper anti-PK of the high-risk worlds. Back to it, we caught a couple of PVMers about and some decent risks, so of course we had to test our luck. We spotted someone using a scepter off in the distance and tried to pull a fast one on them, but the G-Maul lets us down with a 0-0 on robes. We had plenty of chances at some big loots, but it's still proving to be a bit too unreliable against anyone with any sort of defense. We had our first bit of danger here as we were hit by a level 109 PKer in a decent setup. We start shooting back and put them on the back foot right away. Unfortunately, by the time I was ready to go for a spec, they managed to catch their entangle. They sort themselves out before whipping out a noxious halberd and working us down. They drop a big Void Waker spec. This man's risking at least 100 but of course with gear like that, he's gonna be kicking our head in. We've used up most of our combo food and don't have much of a chance in this setup, but we're only one wilderness level away from safety. We managed to catch them with a barrage and could have escaped either way, but they're still sitting on 70 HP, so we might as well go for something. We step back in and go for the barrage into maul, but of course everything noodles. It was a long shot, but hey, if you never take it, you'll never make it. But of course, my maul only wants to work on little jimmies like Mr. G Love here. Another 500k loot. God damn it. Another while without any fights, but the Revenants were still popping off. We got an 8mm effigy from the boss. First time I've seen this thing actually drop a unique. We got a 1mm totem from the guaranteed drop as well. A nice little 9mm drop, not bad at all. Back to the Orcs, and not even 10 minutes later, we rolled the big 16mm ancient relic. The RNG is absolutely on fire. We hit the bank and head back out, and even the heat check on the imps comes through with 5 magic seeds. That's crazy. We finally got some action from a level 82 pure with a harmonized staff, an absolute juicer of a target, exactly what we're looking for, but unfortunately he wasn't as keen for the fight and teleported out after a few hits. What a tease. Next up, we were hit by another pure, this one with the toxic staff. We've had barely any action, but 2 prime targets have shown up back to back. Let's see what happens this time. This fella's a bit more keen for it. I'm trying to land a barrage so that it looks like I'm trying to escape. I wanted to stand under them before switching into the belly and blasting their head off, but we're stuck splashing on a pure, so we go for the run around the corner to keep them focused on the chase. We drag them in towards us and keep on shipping them down. They splash a few freezes of their own and they're sitting on super low HP, so we've got to take our opportunity. We get a big chance in as we drop them down to 22 HP, but even against 1 defense, the Gmaul hits a 0. Respect to them, they suck around for the fight. They're still playing it risky. I could have chanced them there if I went for the ballista, but I didn't realize they were still sitting on 40 HP. We line them up with the cheeky combo, but they tele out before we can finish them off. And the curse of the big riskers continues. Unfortunate, if I had teleblock, I reckon I could have backed them up, but it just goes to show that if we wait in these walls long enough, we will find some PKs risking a juicy +1. We're up to 1000 KC at the Orcs with over 80 mil in total loot so far, without any deaths. We've been lucky on the rev loots and I'm feeling pretty confident now. We're well up in profit, it won't hurt too much if we go down, so we might as well upgrade the setup. I've whipped out the samurai setup from our last few videos, but we've also upgraded to the mage's book. Our magic accuracy is super important in this setup, so it's a solid upgrade for about 2 mil. We finish up the next trip with 1.8 mil in loot and we've just about paid it off already. I'll give you a quick rundown for those that haven't seen this setup. We'll be main-handing the Accursed Scepter for its built-in spell, which allows us to attack with magic while on the Lunar Spellbook, giving us access to all 3 combat styles in a Vengeance setup. But not only that, we'll also be using the Spellbook Swap spell, which allows us to swap to any of the other spellbooks for a single cast. So we've not only got a massive amount of KO potential, we've also got the potential to teleblock and freeze our opponents as well. It's been incredibly fun to use so far. A little over 10 mil risk, let's see how it goes on the high risk worlds. For the most part, the experience was much the same. The first encounter in this setup was with a level 108. They rock up and start eyeing us off, but I was keen for a warm up, so I swapped on over to standards and went for them first. We land the TB as they swap into their mystic set. Looks like this man's come prepared, but looks can be deceiving. They keep on bonking us with their staff as we proceed to beat them down. We bench their staff bash and get 2 big bellies back to back, and yep, the stupid kills haven't stopped. Next up, as we were taking down a rev boss, we had another PVMer take a nibble. A bit of a daredevil as he puts on his smite. We get ourselves set before locking them in with the full TB, but they've just about been taken out by the rev boss already. Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time, so we'll speed run through to the more interesting bits for the rest of the video. In the end, we caught them with a cheeky combo as we followed up a big hit from the boss with the ballista into the maul. Another 700k secured. As usual, most of our encounters were with the local PVMers, with most of them being hopeless PKers. The Rag Rangers don't stand much of a chance, especially against this setup. A few fellas tried their luck, so we had to show them how it works. We've got a much higher hit rate when using the Spellbook Swap setup, and if we're feeling frisky, we can even take a little extra loot at the end of our trips. But it wasn't all success. There were more than a few times that the Gmaul let us down. And there is one major downside to using Spellbook Swap. In PvP, whenever we use a spell, we'll get put into an animation delay that will leave us unable to move, attack, or even eat for a couple of game ticks. So if our opponent gives it legs, we've got to stay ahead, be prepared to barrage, and hope not to splash too many times in a row, otherwise they'll get a gap and get away. A few higher level PKers had a go as well. I was doing well against them, but couldn't always seal the deal. We found ourselves in a fight with a level 112 with a rev boss on top. About a 10 mil risk from this fella with the Blood Moon Tassies. We almost burger it as we click back onto the Orc, but we get our Gmaul off, but we get double zeros and they get away. Damn. I might need to rethink the setup. We've got a whole lot of KO potential and do well against the pures, but it's all or nothing with our spec, and the Gmaul is just too inconsistent against the meds. We're often able to get a chance in, but in reality, it rarely gets the job done, and while the big opportunities are few and far between on the high risk worlds, it mostly just leads to disappointment. The same fella come back for round 2, but this time he's brought an AGS. We put on Protect Melee to avoid the chance as we go for the Venge to Bally. Could have been it, but the damage wasn't there on either end. We keep on looking to line them up. Would have had a good chance here as our Vengeance come back, but it's a moment late. They hit a big bolt, so we've got to eat up and put on Protect to avoid the chance as they go for their spec. Good move, wasn't worth taking the risk. We quickly heal and pop back up while waiting for our opportunity. I was hoping he would go for a surge here, but he faked back to range. We hit our Venge and get a big blister, but he hits a 0 and of course the G-Maul doesn't do shit. He's still attacking back, almost got them there as they procced our Venge. We keep on working them down, but after hitting another big belly, they think twice and teleport out. What a scam. I try not to drop the TB too early, but still, if the RNG went our way, we might have been singing to a different tune, but unfortunately, the big riskers keep on getting away. But it's not all bad. There definitely is an upside to not being interrupted as often. The rev loots are still flowing. We had a few more uniques along the way, but nothing too crazy. We rolled the 4mm medallion from the Orcs and an ancient crystal not too long later. Another 2 ticks on the collection log, and it's starting to look pretty damn good. And of course, we had plenty more of the Maledictus along the way. Most of the time, we had it entirely to ourselves. It takes a few minutes to take it down, but it's not too bad with the Scepter. Definitely worth taking advantage of, not just for the loot, but for the damage buff as well. Occasionally there was a bit of competition, but since most of the other PVMers in these worlds are in complete rags, we were often able to take the MVP. Not having to compete with the horde of web weavers is definitely a perk, and honestly, it never really felt like I was in much danger. However, there was one rev boss that got a bit more interesting. We almost had it down, but it looks like we've been scouted out since a level 107 PKer just so happened to log in at the perfect spot. We let them catch the half TB and get into it. Not long later, a level 117 rocks up risking a Zarite crossbow. Too high level to hit me, but it looks like there's some funny business going on. The fella we're fighting keeps on trying to drag us in towards the boss, but I'd rather play it safe until my TB is up. The other fella is trying to jump the fight, but I don't think he realizes that he can't. He could have gone for the other guy, but at this point I'm assuming they're together, but he ends up teleporting out, so we get back to business. They're camping Protect range, so we go for a maul off the back of a Scepter, but the damage isn't there and they eat through it. They run back through the boss and don't bother keeping up the fight, but another PVMer comes along and finishes it off. We eventually get to pick up the loot, but we're not done yet. He hits us with the be right back, but keeps on bolting us before bolting up north. Not sure what his game plan is, he's really just wasting all of his TB time. He comes back for a moment, but he's obviously just trying to lure me up north, and no surprise, the level 102 Voider comes in from the south. I could have hit a log out here, but there's only 20 seconds left on our TB, so we decide to see what they've got. They catch a barrage, safe to say he's part of their crew since he's coming at us on the ancient spellbook. They hit us with some claws and keep on working us down, but we play it well enough with our eats and avoid getting chanced. We're just about out, but so is our TB, and yeah, I'm getting the fuck out of there. Now, there were a few more PKers that were more our size. Unfortunately, not all of them were risking, but I've been starved for entertainment, so I'll take what I can get. We had a good little battle against this level 75 pure. They start hitting us with a DD. As we're unfrozen, we give them all we've got. A decent chance, but he's still kicking. We don't quite have as much firepower without our spec, so we decide to play the long game. We keep on working them down while making the run south to make it look like we're trying to get away. When the time's right, we hit them with a TB, and all of a sudden, the hunter has become the hunted. They probably could have got the log out there, but we catch them just as they cross into multi. Could be a bait, but fuck it, I'm taking the gamble. They catch us with an entangle, which got me a little freaked out, but thankfully they didn't whip out a dragon spear. Instead, they bolted back into the cave, but we were just able to keep up with them, and after a few more hits, we secure the kill. Good fight, well played. 500k loot? Fuck's sake. As we were strolling about, we stumbled into a level 95 Mystics man. We catch each other with a full TB and get straight into it. Unfortunately, someone with a bit of a bigger risk logged in mid-kill. I'd rather be fighting that guy, but it is what it is. We go for a stack, but they back it up before we can get the G-maul off. All good, would have been a long shot. We keep at it and got a couple of cheeky chances in throughout the fight. We line them up for the G-maul, but you already know how it goes. We've still got them on the back foot as we keep on making good use of our spellbook swap. They dip out of the caves, but well, they didn't make it very far. Another 500k loot. The other fella tried to have a go, but didn't want to wait around for me to resupply. Oh well, back to it. A long time coming, but out of nowhere, we've got what we've been looking for. A level 89 pure with a toxic staff. They've got an Abbey dagger and a dragon crossbow on deck too. Let's see how it goes. We get a good chance to go for it after they dump a spec. We let them bolt us off prayer and make our move, but they hit a 0 and combo eat through the damage. We messed up the double spec, so we've still got one in our back pocket. We go for it right away while he's trying to catch his freeze and it's still chaotic. A fair play, but fair play to him, he's good with his eats. We keep up the fight, but out of nowhere he starts going nuclear with the damage. He's pretty good at the game. We're down on damage, but we've been able to outlast the TB. We're just about out of food, but we've almost got a spec back, so we've got to give it all we've got. Once again, they bolt us a 0 as we get a big chance in with the vengeance to Bally, but at least we've kept them on the back foot long enough to regenerate our spec. We're on our last legs as we go for the Hail Mary G-maul, but our prayers go unanswered. We gave it all we've got and got a couple of chances, but it's time to get out of here. Absolutely spewing. I'm trying to stick it out until I get the big one, but the RNG isn't playing fair. After that fight, we went on another massive dry streak of PKers. Another bunch of rev bosses taken down. A 3 mil trip finished off with a boss. It gets a bit boring just killing the revs without any action, so I went for a little roamer to keep myself entertained. 2 mil loot. Worth it. We also stumbled upon someone using a scepter up at the Dark Beast. We get set before rushing in, but this man's got some robotic-like reactions. I'm not sure how they weren't being attacked by the Rev, but it turns out that it was a hardcore Iron Man, so they might have some kind of strat, but I don't know, still seems suspicious to me. We went for the other account they had there, but it was only a distraction. We've now killed over 2,000 orcs and leveled up to 98 magic. After a few hours, we've finally got another fight. I've fought this guy on my pure a few times before, so I know he's not bad. We get a perfect setup as we freeze each other a tile away. We keep chipping them down with the scepter and get ourselves ready to go for it. As we're unfrozen, we hit our venge and go for the Bally. A decent XP drop, so we send them all. We get a big stack. Could have been it, but they flicked to protect merely on the exact tick. Not sure how intentional that was. They flicked to protect range right after, but fair play. The fight goes back and forth. They catch and entangle and start standing under us. We make use of our spellbook swap and catch them back. I took a moment to heal up, but I think they got spooked. Just as we swap the standards and send the TB, they teleport out. That is depressing. I soldier on and head back out, but got ragged by a level 106, and just when I think things couldn't get any more frustrating, this happens. And no, your screen's not frozen. My whole client lagged out for a good 50 seconds and then everything hit me at once. That's fucked up. A sad way to go out. We've been playing well and putting in the effort. It could have been so much better if the RNG had gone our way, but as we went down there was nothing we could do. I picked myself up and went back out, but the same fella was hanging around and hit me once more. We tried to get our redemption, but it didn't happen. I bailed out and went back, but shortly after the world was glitching again. Not sure if this fella's got something to do with it, or if it's just a coincidence. Unlikely, but I think that's my cue to get out of here. We've been on the high-risk worlds a lot longer than I had planned, but I think we've been here long enough to answer the question, what's it like anti-PKing in the high-risk worlds? And well, in my humble opinion, it's fucking boring. I'm not just here for the Revloots, I'm here for the anti-PKs as well, and while we had a fair few chances at some big ticket items, the fights we were looking for were few and far between. I was expecting some tough fights from some big riskers, and while we certainly found a few, the majority of our fights I don't even know how to explain. Honestly, if you spend enough time in the wilderness, you'll see some ridiculous shit, but it seems like these worlds are where these kind of players come from. but for now, I've got an itch to scratch, so we'll be going back to the main worlds and getting into as much trouble as we can. Still, we made a lot of money, very lucky on the rev loots. We took down a total of 2,220 orcs, 195 imps, 300 demons, 47 cyclops, 100 dark beasts, and 69 hellhounds. We had a total of 84.3 mil on the tracker, but it wasn't tracking the ether going into our bracelet. Would have been roughly 6 mil worth, so let's just round it out to 90 mil. We also had 21 MVPs of the Revenant Maledictus for an extra 26 mil, giving us a total of 116 mil on the PVM side of things. This was when we got the new loot tabs, so the tracker wasn't working, but from all of our PKing adventures we raked in 31 mil. It could have easily been a lot more, but the little ones definitely add up. Minus about 11 mil from the death, we made a grand total of 136 mil. I can't complain about that. And as always, to close out the episode, I'll leave you with my favourite clip, which also happened to be the last. Not this one, I went for a final Roma to wrap things up, just venting a little frustration, you know. I spotted another PVMer but wasn't on the right spellbook. They ducked down south, but I don't reckon they'll telly, so I head up north while switching over to standards. Another PVMer comes out of nowhere, but they get away. All good, we stalk out the orc, and just as I expected, my man comes running back in. Gotcha, bitch. We chase after them and catch the barrage. A good bit of damage off the bat, but I wasn't quite ready for it. They hit a 47 Dragonfire bolt as we get a big ballista, but we hit a combo E in between our attacks and take them out with the G-Maul. No chance and a clean KO. It wasn't a big one, but one I was quite happy with. The combat pot was unnecessary, but I set my inventory up like this for a reason and finally executed it. This old dog's learnt a new trick, let's see what we can come up with next. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you next time. Peace.